Have you ever felt like every single step backwards was really just pulling you further and further away from your purpose? Like, no matter what you did, how hard you tried, you were still drifting away from the path that you were meant to be on? Well, I want you to know that I've been there too. But what if I told you that those very steps you thought were pulling you further away were actually pulling you closer in and helping you to grow spiritually? Well, that's what we are going to explore today. I want to dispel the rumors or the doubts in your mind that those steps backwards are actually pulling you away from your path. They're actually pulling you a lot closer than you think. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another Mindful Monday. I'm your girl, Arika Trimnell, also known as the Mindful Mistress. Yes, that's me, that's her. I am here to offer you just some unique insights, different perspectives to help us grow. We're doing this together. I want us to be able to grow spiritually and really help us embrace every aspect of our journey, breaking the prisms of limitations that we've grown up with, that we've been taught and told, and we've internalized ourselves. So, in the early years of my spiritual journey, one of the things that was happening to me is I found like I was really just grappling with setbacks, and every setback just seemed so massive. Every U-turn or every wrong step on my path just made me feel like, man, am I even doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be on this path or this road that I feel like I'm supposed to be? I know that kind of didn't make sense, but it does. If you know, you know. But for those of us who believe in having a purpose or a calling, we oftentimes believe that there is most of the time only one way to that calling or one path to that calling. And these are the steps that need to happen in this order, right? And it's generally, we think of it in a straight line. Life never happens in a straight line. And in this order, for me to get to said goal, said path, said calling, career, whatever that looks like for you. And I want to tell you that during this time when I was having my setbacks, I really, really struggled. And one of the things that I realized is that this wandering or meandering that I felt I was doing, and it seemed like aimlessly, that I thought was pulling me further and further away, was actually bringing me closer. I realized these setbacks weren't the problem. This wasn't really the challenge. The universe was pushing me closer to my destiny or my purpose, if you will. But just the way that I was looking at the prism, right? My limitation, my limited view that I was looking at this particular situation, calling it or framing it as a setback was really helping me just realign to my purpose. And so when I realized that these setbacks weren't really setbacks, people sometimes call them setups for your next step. I really began to see every challenge as an opportunity for spiritual evolution and growth within myself. So it wasn't just about trying to get everything right and trying to learn all the things, do all the things, and navigate the twists and turns, or mitigate the twists and turns, but more like navigating them with grace and realizing that when I was having what I would call these setbacks, that it was the universe challenging, helping me break what I asked for. I prayed and manifested to have a different life path and to see things not just as I was taught and told and molded and shaped in my early formative years, but really to have my perspective change, because I knew that there were things out there in the universe that I wanted to experience. There was another life. There was another way of living and being that I saw, or that I knew that I could do, and that I could show up in the world as this individual, being more open, having greater, stronger connections, being my authentic self in every situation, just not just with my family unit, but at work, on a job, with clients, out in the supermarket. I could be the girl who is spiritual, but yet likes to have fun and all of these things and be able to encompass that. And so that was what the universe was doing, was in these setbacks, if you will, challenging, breaking this narrow view that I had of this is how it needed to happen. This is the only way I'm going to get to my goal or to my purpose. It challenged that, and it showed me, and that's one of the reasons, that's kind of, if you will say, kind of the basis of how I navigate working with clients and with Prism Vibes. It's about that beautiful spectrum. And everybody has their own path. You know, when you look at a rainbow, you have all of these beautiful different colors, and each arc has its own unique degree at which it arcs, right? And trust me, I don't want to get into the math or the calculus of it. And every path is different, but it gets them to where they're meant to be. And so I really had to see this. I really had to break that limiting prism of my mind to that only said, okay, this is where I'm trying to go, right? And this is the path, although I've never been there, right? This is the path I know you're supposed to take to get to set place, right? All of those things are so wrong. Thinking of it as a straight line. It's more of, I like to say, a dance. And with each step, forward, back, side to side. So earlier today, I was doing the electric slide. And the dance itself is beautiful because you are going in this, right, and then left, and then back, and then if you do it right, you got to get that back, and then you hit it. But that okay. So the electric slide, and then you go to the forward, and a different side. But essentially, you're still in this same kind of, if you will, maybe like a 4x4, square or whatever. But you're essentially doing the dance, and you could assume that when you go back, oh no, I'm not supposed to go back, right? Or this, as if I'm going to right, I'm supposed to just keep going right. But no, you got to go right, and then you got to go left, and then when you go back, then you got to go up, and that creates the dance in itself. So why, when we have these setbacks in life, or we feel like we're having a setback, or we don't feel like we're where we should be, because I have plotted point A to point B takes exactly 2.5 seconds or 3 years or 2 months to get to said goal. And when it doesn't happen there, then, anxiety can happen, depression, all the shoulda, woulda, couldas come up. There's the grief that we experience when we don't hit a particular goal at a particular time frame that we set. And so why can't our life too be that beautiful dance to where, going to the right, going to the left, going to the back, add a little flavor as you go to the back, right? Okay, think about it though, right? Think of your dance as that electric slide. When you feel like you're taking a step back, get funky with it. Like, okay, we're back here for a reason. We're going to learn whatever it is. We're supposed to hit it. And then bam, you are in a different direction. You're in the same scene, but you're looking at it from a different angle, a different perspective. Aha, Prism Vibe. So again, play on essentially of the company itself, and the reason why I'm on this. I don't even want to say it's a mission, but one of the things that has helped me is the fact that I've been able to challenge old narratives, old patterns, and break the limiting prison that I have. So I want to be able to provide this to other people. One of the things that I learned in throughout my education is how essential education is and access in providing people a new way of being, a new way of showing up, whether that's in a better job, getting more money, better education, economic mobility, be able to move your family, and having deeper and stronger connections. So that is my goal, is to help educate, but this is not, I'm a teacher and you're the student. This is, we are teachers and students together. I am learning every single day from you guys, from my clients, from the world around me, from university who loves to teach me as we go on these steps backwards and then bring it all home. And so that is the whole point of what I'm doing here today. And this is a part of it, is there are times when we go backwards or we think we're going backwards, but it really is just bringing us into closer alignment. It's that reset. When you have a prism, you don't always see the beautiful spectrum that it can produce. But when you turn that prism just a little bit, you shift the angle. We're not shifting the prism because I believe that everybody is perfect as they are made. We are beautiful vessels, we are beautiful prisms. But sometimes we just need a little shifting and get a whole different perspective and see things in a whole different light, literally in a whole different light. So I would love to even dig into this just a little bit more and explore, when we often feel like we've lost our way during a challenging situation, it's so easy to assume that we should just push forward and we should be on this relentless approach of progress, progress, progress. But the funny thing is one, that could be a trauma response, but I won't talk about what trauma response that is. You can do your own research of always pushing forward and, but anyways, but science actually tells us that it isn't always the case. It's really the way that our brains are wired to seek solutions and keep moving forward. Our brains are programmed to do this. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, it's me. I am a said person. Our brains, first of all, our bodies in itself are magnificent machines able to do things that we can't even conceptualize. Science hasn't even caught up to all the things that we can do. But our brain works in this beautiful way that it wants to always keep moving. So when we hit obstacles repeatedly, it can create sort of like a cycle, a stress cycle, and this creates exhaustions, and this also just can cloud our judgment and make us feel sick and all of the things. But the other thing to this and this like cycle that we can find ourselves in is that if we keep repeating the cycle enough times as well, your body starts getting used to the extra cortisol that might have been released. Maybe you got a dopamine hit, maybe serotonin, maybe it's, tied to serotonin levels. There are actual studies that show, especially those of us who have experienced some form of childhood trauma, to where our bodies just get used to these really high levels of stress and the hormones that get released from stress, that it then acts in a way to keep that environment, if you will, because that's now our new normal. That is our comfort zone. And so we operate in that comfort zone. So when you are experiencing what you call a setback, so maybe a variation from your comfort zone, and you feel like, oh my gosh, this is not the path we're supposed to be going on, it could be the universe trying to shift you out of that cycle to bring you in to alignment. I have so some of the things that I make are crystal jewelries. I am a huge believer into crystals, and one of the new ones that I made, and it says, "In stillness, my power emerges," and that's something that I deeply resonate with, because oftentimes we are so programmed, society, culturally, what have you, school systems, institutions program us to keep going, no matter what, just keep going. But that's not healthy. And mindfulness is about creating those pauses in life. But in stillness, your true powers emerge, because when you're able to, and when I say still, I'm not just like sit still, but stillness, like still calming the mind, calming the soul, calming the soul, the seat of who you are. In that is when your power emerges, because then from there, clarity, discernment, connection with your intuition, connecting to your higher self, the God, you can then formulate a response, a plan, whatever it is from that place. But when we are, let's say hyper aroused, there are parts of our brain that shut down. So you don't have access to all of your faculties to make a decision that would be truly in your best interest. Now, of course, you're going to make a decision that is going to be an in the moment strategy kind of decision, and will work to get you out of whatever danger your body perceives you're in that moment. But it's not the same brain power that we use to also think about our future self and setting that person up for success, if we will. So I say that because stillness comes into play here. And so when we're able to hit pause and allow ourselves to be still, we activate what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. And that, like I said, is when we are able to come to a place to think about the situation in whole and come up with a plan. It brings us to a place where we are not stressed and can process the experience and emotions from a more objective standpoint. So in that stillness, we have a different perspective about what we can do. That's where we can shift our perspective on what we feel is a setback. So what you see as an obstacle can really reveal itself as a necessary step of your journey, can reveal itself as the universe, God, Allah pushing you in alignment. So you are not lost at all, but you're exactly where you need to be. And it's about learning the lessons that are essential for your growth and development. It's a moment to be embraced, a moment of truth because you're seeing things as they are, not how you want them to be. And it's a moment to gain a deeper understanding for what is going on in your life and align accordingly. So again, think of it like this beautiful dance. And I think about ballet and the like the principal dancer and how they move with such elegance and grace. And there are plenty of obstacles that come up through, if you're watching the ballet, or of course, like any story, there is a, protagonist and antagonist, and the antagonist, and there are challenges. Sometimes that antagonist is within ourselves. And think of this beautiful dance to be able to embrace all aspects, all colors of our journey, to experience the wide array of life. The unexpected and the expected are part of this journey that we are all on. And so whether you're doing it, you're in a ballet and you may be going through some unexpected things very gracefully, or maybe it's a little more stiff. Maybe you are doing the electric slide. The rhythm that is playing is not meant to resist, because that's where we can find ourselves in conflict and out of order of the natural things in life. And that's when stress and frustration come. But when we can flow and embrace each step as a part of this really sacred dance that we are doing, it puts us at peace and alignment. Now, I don't know about you, but I love being at peace and I love alignment. And so the more tools that I can put in my tool belt that help me develop that within, I'm all for it, and just gaining that understanding. And then there's some tools you have to drop off because you no longer need that tool, or you no longer need that coping mechanism because you develop something new, or you've created it within, so you don't need that external device to help you, let's say, tap into that higher intuition or connection. But some ways that, if I can offer just a few ways to help you navigate the dance or embrace the dance, if you will, one of the things that I would suggest, and it is easier said than done, I will admit that, is the practice of radical acceptance. Yes, radical acceptance. So radical acceptance is accepting things for as they are. And sometimes when we struggle, this is the hardest part, is because we are holding on. You were grasping and clinging. Remember when I did in the video, I think it was a few videos ago, about like the monkey bars, you were clinging on to the past, but then also trying to grasp at the future at the same time, but you won't let go. You get stuck at that position. So acceptance really creates a beautiful space for healing and growth, because we're able to accept it as it is. And from that place, we can, assess it. It's not bad, it's not good, but we assess it for what it is. And then we can make a decision on that. Because if we are in resistance to what it is, if we are resistance to the present moment, in that resistance, we will create a solution or strategy based on that resistance, based on that disdain, that anger, that, dislike, whatever it is. We are going to have a solution rooted in that, which means you were carrying that energy forward into that next moment, into that next step. And at least for me, the goal is to experience the emotion, the energy that is needed in that moment, and not carry energy into the next moment if it is not needed, if it is not warrant. And likely it's not warrant because I haven't experienced the next moment. So I don't know what energy or emotion I necessarily need to bring into it, right? So another suggestion that I would offer is listening to the wisdom of our bodies. You know me, I am a huge proponent of somatic therapy and all of the things, listening to our bodies, because our bodies know. I remember seeing a post on Instagram and it talked about even if you cannot remember the trauma, I remember it. And I almost want to cry. It was signed your body. And that's because our bodies have more nerves that go from our bodies to our brains and our brains to our bodies. And so our bodies are programmed and they remember when we've gone through troubling times and wants to keep us from troubling times. So when we're able to tap into our body's wisdom and figure out where I'm holding tension, can I let this go? What emotion is this? And work with our bodies, it's a beautiful guide and helps us get that body awareness, that body cue that can take us a lot further than, unfortunately, just relying off of our brains. Because as I mentioned, our brains are like, let's just move forward. We don't care. We don't care who gets into our way. If you were hyper aroused or hyper aroused, we're still moving forward from those places where our body, we can tap in and listen that, okay, in this moment, I am stressed. Why am I stressed? And we can work through that and process that. So when you come to that situation again, or that environment again, you can approach it and show up fully, more complete, more whole, with deeper connections than maybe you did in the past. The other thing is, because this is who we are all navigating this. I have challenges just like you have challenges. I have times where I let a setback really, I hit the wall with that and I can't figure my way. I definitely can't think my way out of it, because that's not how you do with setbacks, but I really can't get past it. So just honoring the natural cycles, just like nature has its cycle. We are in this beautiful season and soon will come, the next season and the next season. Times in our life, we have times where we're meant to grow. There are times we're meant to hibernate. There are times we're meant to retreat. So honoring these cycles in our lives also helps reduce the stress, because if we know we're in a cycle of hibernation, well, there really is no point in, trying to just continue to push through and try to just make things happen. And I'm going to do it anyways, because this is telling us this is in our cycle of hibernation. Well, we need to be resting. We need to be resting because your higher self knows that in the next season, you are going to be booked and busy. And so you need this time to conserve your energy and rest, refuel, all of the things. So honoring your natural cycle, those are just a few suggestions that I would give to someone who is struggling. And these are things I try to remind myself when I'm struggling. But again, when we're in that struggle, part of our brain shuts down, so we don't have full capacity. So I understand that if you're going through something right now, this may not resonate with you, and that's okay. Maybe come back to it, save it, like it, subscribe, all those things, and come back to it when you aren't in that situation. And I guarantee you're going to get more out of it than you might when you're deep in a situation. Again, that's just like you're angry and someone tells you, you know what, you're angry. Well, that's the last thing you want to hear from somebody. So same with this. It could be, I'm telling you what happens in a setback and you're experiencing a setback. And because, you're not working on all your cylinders, you're just feeling like I am just pushing your buttons, right? Like the little kid, like I'm not touching, not touching, not touching, not touching. And then finally, leave me alone. So, you know what? I hope this was able to shed some light. Again, if you're in the middle of it, I understand. And as we close the day, I really invite you to reflect on your own journey and think about a time when you really felt like you were stepping backwards or you were losing your way. What did that experience actually teach you? What did you learn from it? How did it ultimately contribute to where you are today? Take a few moments, write it down, put a note, meditate on it, share it with me. I would love to hear your stories on that. And may that be the fuel that fires your next growth, your next ascension. This journey that we are on is super sacred, and every single part of it deserves to be honored, whether it's a setback, it's a setup, it's a doubt, it's a challenge. They are all part of the divine dance that we are doing that guides us home to ourselves. So let's walk this path together with trust and grace, knowing that every single step that we take is a step forward, even if it's a step backwards or it's a step sideways. It's leading us to a place that is closer to our destiny, our path. Thank you so much, you beautiful souls, for being on this journey with me. I hope today's episode has brought you some sliver of peace, maybe hope, a little clarity. Maybe you laughed a little bit, but that you found this message hopeful and that it resonated with you on some level. Again, if not, maybe it's something you need to come back to. I'm wishing you a lot of growth and transformation as we are on this journey together. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Have a beautiful week. Bye.